Hello BookTube, it's Roz and I'm here with a tag for Tag Tuesday. And this tag is the book shopping book tag. And I was tagged by Alan of Big Hard Books and Classics, and the original is by Hugo of Scientist Reading World. Now, ever since I did the tag about tags tag, I've been kind of thinking about my attitude to tags and giving myself permission to not feel tag guilt. So whilst I'm not a mood reader, I've worked out what a mood reader is. I've realised that I'm not one. I think that I am going to allow myself to be a mood taggist from now on and not feel bad if I don't do a tag when someone has kindly tagged me, but just sort of do them when I feel like it. In that spirit, I'm not going to tag anyone specific to do this tag, but I will say, you know, if you're in the mood for this one, please do, because it's an enjoyable tag. And I was in the mood for doing this one because it's questions that I feel like I haven't answered before. Now, the questions from Hugo are lovely and quite long, so I'm going to read them off a tablet. So, question number 1: how do you buy books? Physically, because you believe in the power of touch, or online because interactions are overrated? That's a great question, Hugo. Well, I buy a lot of my books as ebooks, so obviously I do that online. And actually, my buying of physical books has changed because of COVID-19 and, you know, bookshops and libraries and charity shops and secondhand bookshops all being closed. So obviously that pushed book buying online more, and I wonder if I will carry on like that. I don't know. We'll see. I do like going and looking at books and choosing them, so I'm not sure. Question number 2: do you prefer bigger bookshops or smaller ones? Well, there's never a neat answer to these questions, is there? Because there's a luxurious pleasure to browsing a really big bookshop, isn't there? Well, one with lots of different sections and displays, and, you know, I enjoy that. I do. Not something I've done for quite a while, but when I can, yeah. It's all those books, and you know, it brings out the sort of the child in me to, yeah, look at them all. Yeah. Having said that, I think possibly I do actually prefer a small bookshop, a bookshop perhaps that has a particular theme, or you know, it's got a personality. The people in it love books and are making recommendations, or it's a specialist. Or, as I say, I really like buying books from secondhand bookshops, and, you know, they're usually kind of small and intimate and dusty, and you feel like you're finding things rather than just having them marketed to you. So, yeah, both, I suppose. I like bookshops. That's the answer. Prompt number 3: do you prefer to buy books when they're brand new, being the first to touch them and it being in great condition, or do you prefer used ones, the book having character, history and personality? I'm a used book lover, I think, and for a couple of reasons. One is that, yeah, the history. You know, that there's something lovely about feeling like a book's passed through. You're like almost like it as you're one reader in a sequence of readers that this book will have. There's also that feeling of it being less ludicrously wasteful of resources than me buying a brand new book and just me reading it. That just feels a bit mad, you know. So I might buy a new book as a present, but if I can buy a not new book for myself, I will like that better. So I make really good use of the local library, and, you know, Steve, my husband, who's a reader too, you know, and I will like read reviews of recent releases and see if the library's going to get it and reserve it, and then we know it'll have like multiple uses. I do buy new books though in ebook form, but rather than, you know, like an untouched physical copy. Yeah. Next tag, and this one I wasn't entirely sure what it meant, but I think I do. Okay, so are you a coupon TLC level crazy person or a full price Sweet 16 MTV? References I don't know, but do I like a bargain? Yes, I love a bargain. Obviously, if I'm buying a used book from a charity shop or a secondhand bookshop, I'll pay the full price that they're asking. But if I can get, somehow, discounted copy of a new book, well, yeah, yes, it's always satisfying, isn't it? One of the things that I do is I watch the sort of 99p offers for ebooks, and I've got a mental list in my head, well, and a Goodreads, want to read list, and so I watch out for things coming up for 99p and swoop and buy them. So I've got like a library of ebooks waiting to be read on my Kindle. They're all things that I know I want to read. So yeah, this is my cheapskate habits being exposed by this tag, but that's okay. I do buy full price books as presents. I do buy them if I really want a particular book for a particular reason. For example, if you watch this channel, you'll know that I have a personal challenge around reading books from an author from every country in the world. Well, some of those, the only way I can get hold of them is to buy a new one, and that's fine. It's not like I won't buy a new book, but I do, or a full price book. Yeah, I just like a bargain. Next question, number 5, is read, research, analyse, Sherlock Holmes-style, or impulse buyer like a shopaholic. Okay, I'm definitely in the read, research, analyse end of the book buying habit. It's one of the reasons I love BookTube, because I'm constantly picking up recommendations or ideas of books from people's videos. I also read reviews from sources that I trust. Not Goodreads, because they're really random. Well, they're entertaining sometimes, but yeah. Sometimes they sometimes a Goodreads review that's negative about a book will actually let me know that I will probably like it. If that makes sense. I also kind of like choose books almost by association. So, I'll be reading one book, and it'll lead me to think of other things that I would like to read. Like, I'll give you a concrete example because I'm not expressing that very well. So I just read A Peregrine by Colin McCann. And as a result of reading that, I now want to read something by the Palestinian poet Mahmoud Darwish, because although I'd sort of heard of him, he was just quoted so often in that book. I was thinking, yeah, I need to find that. So then I'll go off and research that. And then, I really enjoy taking part in sort of BookTube reading events, and that will give me a reason to research things. So I suppose recent releases, I'm looking at reviews, and backlist stuff and classics, it's researching perhaps because I'm interested in an author or a theme or a period. That was a long-winded answer, but yeah. Next prompt. Are you a book or two at a time, or full cart pandemic style until the mailman dies? Okay, I think that's asking how many books you buy at once, like one or two or a big pile. I'm a one or two generally. There's rarely a circumstance in which I go and buy, other than when I'm buying Christmas presents. Yeah, when I go and raid the bookshop and come away with a big pile. New and recent releases, or older and classics? I aim to have a real mixture. There is or what Mark Nash would describe as the shiny, shiny, shiny bauble phenomenon, where you're drawn to a new release or something, or you hear about that sounds sort of or is new to you and exciting. But I deliberately choose to also read kind of backlist and classic stuff, because there's so much out there still that I haven't read, So yeah, obviously. Next prompt is, are you a pre-order total fan freak, or wait until it arrives at the bookshop because it can wait? I almost never pre-order books. It's just not, well, I suppose the answer is, as I was saying, is that I have almost like a queue of books waiting for me to get to them. Books that I know that I want to read, and so any sort of new book is probably going to join that queue. I mean, it may bump other things up and down. I don't do them in order, but it's unlikely that I'm going to want it so much that it's going to go right to the top, and so that I would want to pre-order it. There's 3 things that I can think of that I've pre-ordered in recent times, and I'm not sure I pre-ordered anything before those 3, actually, strangely. And one was a real deliberate, I can't wait for it to come out choice. One was for more kind of like personal and booktube related reasons, and one was a complete accident. Okay, so I'll tell you. The one that was a real deliberate sort of thing was The Mirror and the Light by Hilary Mantel, because I loved Wolf Hall and Bring Up the Bodies. And then Hilary Mantel kind of promised the third part, and it's almost, they're not really 3 separate books. They're like one long book in 3 volumes. And I was just, itching for it, and it kept being delayed. But I probably still wouldn't actually pre-ordered it. I'd just kind of bought it swiftly when it came out. Except that Jason of Old Blues Chapter and Verse got me onto this Cromwellathon thing of rereading Wolf Hall and Bring Up the Bodies just nicely in time for when the release date was for The Mirror and the Light. So then I had to pre-order so that I could be kind of right on it on the day, as it were. The second thing that I've pre-ordered recently was the more personal one, is Mark Nash's new book, and that's because of Stories We Tell Our Children, and that's because I know he's going to be talking about it a lot, and I'll have a sort of a fear of missing out, FOMO thing of like, he's talking about his new book and it sounds really interesting and I haven't got a copy in my hand yet, so that's why I pre-ordered that one. The accident was okay, just last month, I was reading Detransition Baby by Tori Peters. Really interesting and enjoyable, not perfect, but yet brilliant book, about which very much kind of talks about the trans experience, I guess, in through that novel. And I was reading it thinking that was fascinating, but it was a very American book, and it just got me thinking, oh, I wonder what what a British trans woman would say, would write, what would her bit of fiction be like. And I thought I probably had never read anything by a British trans author, sort of as far as I know. And it just happened that I saw a review in The Guardian, probably, of Variations by Juliet Jakes. And that's a book of short stories, kind of linked short stories absolutely about the British trans experience since about the 17th century, I think, through to bang up to date, by a trans woman, British author. And so I thought, oh, that's just what I need. Went and looked at it and saw that the Kindle edition was really good value. It was like $4.99. I thought, oh yeah, I could just go for that. Ordered it and discovered that I pre-ordered it because it wasn't going to be out for another like 4 weeks or something. So, complete accident. There we go. Right. Next prompt. Do you prefer special, expensive, beautiful covers, colour edges and unique editions, or is the inside of the book the bit that counts? Definitely the inside is the bit that counts. And because of that, I'm very happy to read ebooks because, it's the words I want, not the object. But that has had an interesting side effect, that because I read like most stuff as ebooks or library books maybe, but mostly ebooks, actually I now am in a way more interested in what kind of object a book is if I do buy a physical copy. So I'm actually kind of developing a bit of a thing for looking out for really like nice older editions of the books that I really love and want to physically keep, as opposed to just have an ebook of. So yeah, that's a change for me. Prompt number 10, nearly there. Picture your favourite book. Do you show your love by buying multiple copies, or do you believe in single true love? No, I don't buy multiple copies of a book. I might, I suppose, well, as I was just saying, buy really like a nice second-hand edition of a book that I really love. But the truth is that my absolute favourite books, I want the edition that was the one that I originally read, because it will have a sort of emotional resonance, I suppose, for me. Yeah, like my falling apart edition of Pride and Prejudice, say, is almost impossible to physically read it now, but I'd never get rid of it. And the final prompt, number 11, name your favourite places to bookshop. And my favourite place to bookshop, I think, no, definitely, is the bookshop that I used as the thumbnail, or I'm going to use as the thumbnail for this video, and that is Savoury Books, and it's a nice, scruffy, packed secondhand bookshop that is literally at the end of my road. It's 2 minutes from my house, and when it was shut for COVID, it was tragic. And yeah, I love it dearly. So that's my favourite. Well, splendid questions. Thank you, Hugo. And if you're in the mood for this tag, go for it.